Hello, we're hailing from Oklahoma, and we're going to talk about today and give a little demonstration on how to tie some crappie jigs. These crappie jigs that we're going to be making and tying today are to be used in late winter, early spring, when the crappie are real finicky. They are very sensitive about the size of bait. So we're going to make some 80th and 64th ounce jig heads, which I've already made up with the lead, and we're going to paint them and then we're going to make the jigs. First thing we'll do is we're going to put a little powder paint on some jigs that I made up earlier. And I want to show you a little thing that happens whenever this is like a 30-second jig, which is pretty good size, but we're just going to press it over the flame and get it hot, because if you do it too long, this is what happens. It will just melt right off and fall down just like that. Now I use a big jig just to show you what the issue is. The smaller the jig head, the even quicker that it will fall off. So we're going to use some, looks like orange, but it will end up being red. And I have a 80th, which you have to get these online. I don't think you can even get them at a local like Bass Pro. But you can get them online, or you can make them like I did. You pass it over the fire, drop it in the paint. You might have to do it a time or two. There it is. Pass it over the fire again. Drop it in the paint. And I'll pass it over the fire again. And you can see it makes a red head there. As such. Now, get rid of this fire so we don't get burned. Let this have a minute or two to cool. I'll redirect the camera down more towards the jig tool. Now this tool is used for holding the jig, and it's absolutely essential that you use this tool to tie jigs with. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of glue on the hook. This glue is going to hold the thread, which is going to in turn hold the hair or the feathers that we use. Just put a little bit on there, and we'll take some chartreuse, lay it along the top, and just kind of wind it down. And as you can see, it's going to get more and more on there, and this is going to provide a base to hold your feathers or your string or whatever you're going to put on it. I'm going to use feathers and hair. Let it hang down out of the way there. I find it easier to cut this little tag off right now instead of trying to dig it out of all the hair and everything else later. Next thing we want to do is determine what color of hair we're going to use. I'm going to use a little bit of this green chartreuse hair. And cut off a little piece of it. As you can see, it's you want to try to make it pretty flat on one side, because when you back it up to this head, you want it to not have to worry about trimming it up a little bit. You just got to take it around and around that thing. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get started, especially if you get a lot of it on there like I did. Get down through there a little bit. You need to go down about, I'd say at least the size of the head to get most of your hair. Now you won't get all your hair. Some of the hair will fall off as such. As you can see, we've got most of the hair. Get that right there trimmed up a little bit. Now we're going to put a little bit of contrasting colors. And we'll get a little bit of this black deer hair. Let's get a little bit of it on there. Now this is a little more bristly, I'd say. And this bristle hair is going to stand up and stick out where the feathers will more or less just float. And you can see where I'm going round and around that. Now I could leave that just like that, and we could call that good. But for a matter of demonstration purposes, we're going to put a little bit of chenille on there to make the body of it a little bigger. I'm just taking out a little bit of chenille out of this package. There's some chenille. Cut off a little piece of it. Now on bigger jigs you won't end up wasting so much, but here this will waste a little bit. So I'm going to take it like this, hold on to it, and then I'm going to run this up 2 or 3 times around, like such, up over the top of the piece that I laid towards the head, like this. It'll have to be 2 or 3 times around. There's 2, and there's the third one. See how it just pushes up against that head? Then you take your string that you had hanging down and you wrap it around there a couple of times, like such. And what that does is tying off that wrap to keep it from coming unwrapped, the chenille. Then you trim up the chenille without cutting your string, hopefully. Takes practice. Like such. Now you got a little fur on the back side, a little bit of hair, and you got some feathers, and then you got the chenille. You throw a couple of half hitches on there. These half hitches are good for tying this thing off, and we'll finish it up with a little bit of glue here in just a minute. The whole purpose of this is to make it easy for you. Take a little bit of glue, put it right there on that thread so it'll stay, like such. You can kind of see how it looks like. It's always a good idea to put your cap on your glue too as soon as possible so it don't dry out on you. Then you just cut off your thread as close as you can get it. There you have a finished jig. It kind of looks like a little bug. Then you have to poke out your hole. I like to wait till it dries a little bit to be able to poke it out, because it gets to where if you do it too early, you're not able to poke it out. They make a tool that you can just pop those eyes out with. I've got one around here somewhere, but for right now I'm just going to take it off with a little piece of a file. There we go. That about does the crappie jig tying. I've made several of them that I've used over the different winters. I'll have a couple pictures to show you some of the crappie that we've made. Finish it up, I like to take a little bit of black and maybe make a little dot right there on the eye. Put it around this way and get a little dot over here, like such. And there you have the jig. Here's a couple others that I made. That's made with some red hair. And this is one here with a little bit more furry, a bigger head, a little bit more furry body. This right here is one that's real similar to what we just made. Anyway, I hope you liked it. Let me know. I'll consider doing some more of these videos. I'm trying to decide if it's worthwhile. Catfishing with jugs, how to make a jug up, and over a 5-year period I put around 10,000 pounds of catfish in a freezer, jug fishing. So we might do a little bit of that. Anyway, that's about all there is to it. Thanks for watching.